This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below.
The one bright light for the Browns in that playoff game was the performance of one Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And I thought, watching him play, I'd always thought highly of JOK. I was one of the first people pounding the table for the Cleveland Browns to draft him. There's a film breakdown I did of him in Notre Dame, breaking down why I feel like the Browns need to go draft him. I was super excited when the Browns picked him in the second round. And so I've always been somebody who has had a very high opinion of JOK. And how JOK played in that game and at times this season has made me reconsider just how good JOK can be. And I think that JOK is going to be the key to the Browns defense in 2024. Now, obviously, Myles Garrett's going to be the most important part. He's the best player on the defense. Obviously, other players will have to step up and play well. But to me, the key to the Browns defense in 2024, the key to the Browns defense being able to maintain the level of play that put them at this high of a caliber, able to make the playoffs and win 11 games with 4 different quarterbacks starting, with 26% of the salary cap on injured reserve. The defense that has pushed you to that, if you want to get to that level of defensive play at least, JOK is going to be a massive part of that. And the reason I think JOK is going to be a massive part of that is we've been looking for a tag team partner for Myles Garrett for a while. And we've always assumed that that tag team partner was going to be another edge rusher, right? We wanted it to be Emmanuel Ogbah when Myles was first drafted, then Olivier Vernon, then Jadeveon Clowney, and Zadarius Smith is the latest guy to attempt to be Myles Garrett's tag team partner. But watching that game and watching JOK this season, and then you go back and look at what JOK was doing his rookie year, it makes me think of Myles Garrett's tag team partner in a different way. Because does it actually have to be another edge rusher? Does it have to be an edge tandem to take pressure off of Myles? Obviously, you would love to have some guys get pressure on that other side. You don't want to just leave them out there with nobody or no help on that defensive line or on the opposite edge position. But the other guy who's going to drive attention, the other guy who's going to maybe move double teams away from you, the guy who can make teams pay for overplaying you, what if that guy is JOK? Because what I saw in that Houston game was JOK being so comfortable knowing how teams are going to overplay Myles Garrett to take him out the game and understanding where they're going to flow to so he can kind of flow into that space. And other times he's just straight up making plays. He's just seeing things before it happens. Now, with any young player, there's going to be some inconsistency, and JOK hasn't been the most consistent player, right? There have been games where he's great. There have been games when he's bad. During the broadcast, they brought up something interesting, which was JOK used to be somebody, especially when he first got to Cleveland, but even at the beginning of this year, who one bad play could send him into a spiral that he would be unable to pull himself out of. To the point to where you would have to take him off the field. And we used to see this, right? Because JOK used to have games where we'd be like, oh my God, he is almost the best player on the field. And then JOK would have games where he might be the legit worst player on the football field. Like one bad thing leads to other bad things, and he's starting to second guess himself and all of this. But by the end of the season, we saw a JOK who was not just making plays, but confident. And not just confident, but confident enough to where if he made a mistake, that wouldn't shake him. He wouldn't start second guessing. He would be like, okay, I missed that one, but I'm going to be right most of the time. And that is something that I think has happened because one, JOK is in a good environment. I remember talking about the DeQuell Jackson comments, which ironically enough, I think DeQuell is like a quality control coach now for the Browns, or he's some kind of, he works for the Browns in some capacity. But DeQuell Jackson had that quote where he would make JOK a rotational guy and how JOK isn't his type of linebacker and how he doesn't think he's big enough. And if he had a coach, a defensive coordinator especially, with power over him in his career that had that opinion of him, they would not nurture JOK into the star that I think the Browns can nurture him into. They would see JOK mess up, see those things spiral out of control for him, see him get to the point to where he's messing up, second guessing to the point to where he's playing horribly. And they would say, this guy just doesn't have it. Jim Schwartz, to his credit, and Jason Tarver, I believe it's Jason Tarver, forgive me if I got that wrong, the Browns linebacker coach, took a different approach. They saw JOK struggling. They saw JOK making a bad mistake. And instead of getting mad at him for making the mistake and making that worse, they decided to nurture him, which is to say, hey, man, it's okay if you make the mistake. We want you to trust who you are, because who you are is a playmaker. And you're going to miss some plays. Troy Polamalu missed plays. Ed Reed misplays. You're not going to shoot 100%. But you know what? You could shoot 80. And 80 is damn good. And for the Browns, that's one of the most important things they need to get out of JOK. See, young players need to be nurtured in the right way. Young players need to have their confidence pushed in the right direction at the right times. And JOK was at a crossroads. He was a guy who was an instinctive playmaker, but felt like he was making too many mistakes. He gets put in a situation where he gets to do what he does well, and then he gets empowered to do what he does well. Not only are they letting him make plays and not taking him off the field when he makes mistakes, they're promoting him, right? JOK played better once he got more snaps, once he knew that, hey, they're not going to take me off the field for making a mistake. Okay, it's not the end of the world. I can stay out there. And I think that confidence going into next year, we've just seen the tip of the iceberg with JOK. The same way we saw Grant Delpit flash at the end of the season prior. And we felt like, hey, man, it feels like we're just scratching the surface with them. The same way we saw David Njoku flash the season prior, and it felt like we were just scratching the surface with him. It's the same way that I look at JOK and I'm like, that's a young player who just figured it out, who just got the right stuff there confidence-wise. Now, obviously, they have to continue to nurture this in the offseason. They have to continue to nurture this in the training camp period and in the early parts of next season. You know, it's still work. It's not done yet. But that's a player going in the right direction. And the Browns are set to lose some key pieces, right? They're going to lose some guys on the defensive line. They're going to lose a lot of experience on the defensive line. They're going to lose some guys in the edge room. They're going to need other guys to step up. And that brings me back to my original question. If JOK steps up, I look at that question of who's going to be Miles's tag team partner. Right? Who's going to be the guy that makes teams pay for overcorrecting to Myles Garrett? And I see the perfect answer. See, the perfect answer isn't another edge rusher, because that's easier to account for. Now, again, you want good edge rushers. You want to be able to maintain the pressure, but as long as you have a good enough edge rusher there, that's probably the effect's probably going to be the same, because teams are going to adjust to Myles by adjusting to edge pressure. Which is to say, they're going to get rid of the ball quickly and have they're going to have shallower drops, which is going to be effective not just against Myles, but the other guy too on the other edge. But if they adjust for Miles in that way, that they're adjusting for edge players, you know what that leaves a big gap for? Linebackers to make plays. And we have the perfect guy to do it. I think the tag partners for Myles Garrett, the guys who are going to make teams pay for overplaying Myles Garrett next season, JOK and Grant Delpit. Those are the two. Yes, they'll have another edge guy, and the edge guy might have a ton of sacks, he might not. But the main two forces that are going to make things really difficult are JOK and Grant Delpit, because like Myles Garrett, they're very movable. You can move them all around the field. They're not predictable where you can put them. See, the problem with protections is that they're predetermined. They're not flexible. Protections aren't malleable. They are set in stone. Whatever you set the protection as, that's the protection. But the way you beat protections is to be malleable, to be like water, right? Like Bruce Lee. And the Browns' ability to punch back like water isn't in having brute force at the edge position opposite of Myles. It might be in having that force in those more malleable, unpredictable spots like Grant Delpit in JOK. So I look to next season and I think to myself, man, JOK playing like that. Imagine if Grant Delpit's out there playing the way he was. That might be the key to 2024 in the Browns defense. That might be the tag team partner for the Browns defense. Hey, we never once thought, right? Because it's Cleveland, anytime we have success, we don't ever feel like we're going to build on it because quite frankly, the team has never really done a good job of building on success. But I think this team's going to build on success. And building on that success, it makes me wonder, maybe this defense is just scratching the surface. Maybe this is the 1.0 version of this defense, right? They had some bugs that needed to be tested out. It was really good, but still needed a patch. What's 2.0 going to look like? What's the update going to look like? And I think JOK is a huge part to what that update's going to look like. But that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.